So last night, the Associated Press says, oh, it's going to be Hillary. And the conspiracy theories explode on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. This is the Clinton campaign organized this, or the Clinton campaign didn't want this, or this is the AP trying to sabotage democracy, or this is, get a grip. We all need to kind of get a grip in this context. Here's what's going on. And it's a sad commentary on the state of news in the United States, or what we call news in the United States. And what's going on is that, thank you. What's going on is that the way that television networks make money is different from the way that the Associated Press makes money. And the television networks, back before the Telecommunications Act and before Reagan pulled the plug on the Fairness Doctrine, television networks used to be obligated to provide actual news, and now they provide spectacle. And they need the maximum amount of tension and anxiety and drama. And so how do they get there? How do they make that happen? Well, you make it happen by having a horse race. I've been pointing this out for years, that the media we've been doing this show since 2003. I don't know how many election cycles we've been through in that period of time, but in those 13 years, that's, I guess it's at least 6 elections. And you watch the media, and particularly, the major races, what you find is that, they'll up the underdog until the underdog's no longer the underdog, and then they'll up the other person, and then they'll, it's like, try to keep it at 50-50 so we can have lots of drama. And the television networks really wanted that for tonight so that they could get maximum eyeballs and make maximum money. Now, the Associated Press is not interested in maximum eyeballs and maximum money. They need maximum click-throughs. They're the old print network, but principally now they're on the internet. And so for the Associated Press, and in fact, I think it was interesting last night, Lawrence O'Donnell was asking the MSNBC guy who crunches the numbers, isn't normally on TV. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. But asking him repeatedly, actually, I think Lawrence asked him this question 3 times. We, in the television media, Lawrence speaking for himself and NBC, I guess, he said, we frequently know how a race is going to go on election night, but we don't call it until after all the votes are in, because, aren't the voters supposed to decide these things? Or at least shouldn't we have the illusion that the voters are deciding these things? And basically the real answer to why NBC last night jumped on this after ABC did, or after AP did, and I'm assuming the other networks did too. At that point, I just turned the TV off, went to bed. And but the reason I'm assuming that they did this is that they had no choice. Their big day got blown up. And it was going to be Hillary Clinton's big day. This was going to be tonight. And if Bernie wins California, it was going to be a big night for Bernie, too. And if not, it would be a time for some serious reevaluation. But the point is that what the AP did was about how the AP makes money. What the television networks are doing is about how the television networks make money. And what nobody is doing is about what's best for the United States of America. And I'm not just talking about in the Democratic primary. I think, the Democratic primary has been very badly handled by the media throughout. But the Republican primary, look at the Republicans are in total meltdown mode right now. You've got Joe Scarborough just going off on a rant about how, Republicans, it's time to pull back your endorsements of Donald Trump. Literally suggesting that. Paul Ryan today, wanted to do this thing on poverty, how we can solve poverty by forcing poor people to look for work in job markets where there's no jobs. And if they don't get the work, taking away their benefits and cutting the benefits to their children, because that's going to help poverty, right? This was Paul Ryan's press conference this morning. And it didn't quite go the way he wanted, because they kept saying, well, did Trump say something racist? And finally, Paul Ryan is like, yeah, it's racist. Well, are you still going to support him? Well, yeah, of course I am. Because you see what's going on the Republican side, and the media won't cop to this either. What's going on the Republican side is that ever since Nixon said, hey, look at all these white Southern racists who used to call themselves Democrats. In fact, they called themselves Dixiecrats. Look at all these white Southern racists. Let's turn them into Republicans. And Nixon's Southern strategy did that, and then Lee Atwater picked that thing up and did it with Reagan. And you've heard that quote on this program a million times where Lee Atwater says, we can't use the N-word anymore. Back in the 50s, we could say that. In the 60s, we could say forced busing. But we don't even need to say that anymore because everybody knows that when you talk about cutting benefits, like Paul Ryan was doing this morning, when you talk about cutting benefits or when you even just generally talk about cutting budgets, cutting government, all the white racists know, wink, wink, nod, nod, that you're talking about those people. So anyhow, over on the Republican side, it's real interesting. I seriously wonder if Donald Trump is going to make it to the convention. And this is why a number of the Republicans, when they stopped their campaigns, whether it was Marco Rubio or whether it was Ted Cruz or whatever, they didn't actually end their campaigns. They didn't surrender their delegates to Donald Trump. Maybe a few of the minor ones did, but the major ones haven't. They've hung on to their delegates because if Trump goes down in flames, there's a million things that could happen. And the guy's 69 years old. He's not a spring chicken. And this is true on both sides. Everybody's 69 or older. And Hillary might be 68. I'm not sure, but one or the other. But you get the point. Things happen at that age, number one. Number two, things just happen, right? Pianos fall out of 14th story windows on people, or people get caught up in scandals, or people get indicted, or people get whatever. This is a reason why you don't actually declare a nominee until after the convention, until at the convention. That's where the declaration is made. So, we'll see where this goes and what happens here. But the fact of the matter is that under the rules of the Democratic Party, pledged delegates, and these are published for the media. The pledged delegates should not be counted until the convention because they can change their mind anytime they want. Now, what the AP is saying and what the networks are saying is that they've surveyed these pledged delegates and that they're not going to change their mind. They're totally Hillary delegates, and I believe that. I'm guessing probably half those delegates owe their political careers to the Clintons. So, barring some just massive win tonight, this is going to, the lift for Bernie now becomes pretty insurmountable. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have massive power right now and going forward. And the question, I think, in Camp Bernie's, and I have no inside information on this, but my recommendation, if I were sitting in strategy sessions, would be, how do we most effectively use this power? Katrina Vanden Heuvel writing over at the Washington Post today, talking about how Clinton, well, the headline, Clinton may take the nomination, but Sanders has won the debate. And I think that that's absolutely true. Bernie Sanders has changed politics in America for the next 2 generations at least. We'll be right back.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.